Hello, everybody. Back for another week of Gaughan Racing. Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan, who has had his giggle box turned over by.
Do we start every show
laughing
with just laughter?
Yeah, yes,
Yes,
we do. We do.
I mean, pretty much.
It's there's actually a show on this network that has a comedian on it, and I don't know if they have as much laughter as we do at the beginning of our show.
It's the folks on Sirius that don't get to actually see all of it. But what y'all miss is what happens behind the scenes. Because this is, we always start. Sirius XM has to go. Why are they laughing every week? Because every show we start, we're laughing with Ann, we're laughing with.
Because we have fun.
We do.
Like what
we're funny
doing.
looking, and we have fun.
Funny.
So
there's
it works.
a lot of funniness that goes on up here. But and by the way, I'm Jeff Motley. That's Brendan Gaughan. We're at the South Point, Las Vegas, beautiful Las Vegas.
We're both in studio.
We're both in studio in Las Vegas, where I know this is crazy. It's almost October, and it's going to be over 100 degrees all weekend long here in Las Vegas. Oh yeah, we got it under a heat warning. I thought we were past that a couple weeks ago, but you know what? There's a lot of places in the country, especially thinking about everybody down on the Gulf Coast and up through Georgia and the Carolinas, who have it a lot worse than us. So we can't complain a whole lot about that. But anyway, guess what we're talking about? We're talking about Bristol. We're talking about dominance of Kyle Larson, and we're also saying goodbye to Martin Truex Jr., Harrison Burton, Brad Keselowski, and Ty Gibbs, who did not make the cut to the next round of the playoffs.
I'll tell you what. I mean, Martin Truex Jr. It's a shame because he was so upset with himself after that race.
Well, he and Ty Gibbs both had speeding penalties that really cost them.
And Martin he knew better. And there's no one to blame on this one except Martin. They had a car that Gibbs gave him a car that was good enough. He was running top 5 the whole night, and he got himself caught. And that was on him. He said it in his interview afterwards. He was pretty bummed out. I think, are we surprised that Martin's out?
Well, he kind of went in behind the 8 ball anyway going in.
He went limping into the playoffs, let's just say.
Let me ask you a question as a driver.
Okay. I don't get called that often. Thank you.
All these guys, when they are pitting, they know what the pit road speed limit is. They also know that NASCAR gives them 5 miles over the speed limit.
Yes, we know.
So let's say pit road speed, I'm going to throw out a number, is 45 miles per hour.
Gotcha.
You know you can get away with 50 miles per hour.
50.00.
Right. But if you are 50.01,
Yep.
you are speeding.
Yep.
So I think in these guys' mind, they think the pit road speed is 50, not 45.
We do.
But if you're out there pitting, is it not, and especially pitting in a situation like he was, and you know how important where you are on the track is, are you not better off being conservative by a mile per hour or two instead of pushing it, knowing what the penalty is? Because, all right, let's say he loses 2 positions. He's still, and I guess what you're saying is the helmet gets on tight and you just don't think that way? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Look, Ty Gibbs' deal was a rookie mistake. He had one of the last pit stalls before the corner. And the pit road speed is 50.00, and it's measured kind of in the middle of pit road. But when you go around the corner at Bristol, think about the running track at your high school. Lane 1 is a shorter distance than lane 8. So
that's why they stagger it.
That's
when
why
they do the
stagger
relay.
start. Absolutely.
Right? Exactly.
So what happened with Ty was he came out of the pits, and he stayed too far to the inside of pit lane, went to his lights, and was speeding because he shorted the distance too much.
And people need to know, it's used by timing lines. There's not like a guy with a radar. There's not a radar gun out there.
The old BS of when they would say, 62 speeding in segment, call it 4.
Yeah.
Bull.
Yeah. Well, it's all on a data readout.
That was the way NASCAR used to balance out. That was the old balance of power by
the teams
Bill
can
Jr.
see
stuff.
the data and see where they speed.
No, we see it right where we're at live as it goes. To me, will we try to look? We want to push for everything. Why do we get speeding penalties? Because we're trying to push that hard.
When you think big picture,
that's
all I'm saying.
We think big picture, and if I thought big picture, I probably would have kept my mouth shut more when I drove for Kodak or something. We don't tend to think big picture. We think of trying to win that particular day, that particular time on pit road, that particular run up, off the track, getting all we can. We are just wired that way.
So you're saying when you tighten that helmet, it shrinks the brain. Is that what you're telling me?
A lot of us don't have a lot of brain to shrink much. So, it is kind of a bummer, but Martin, he was segment 1. He was like segment 2 or something where wasn't in the corner. He just went too fast, and Ty's was a little different. seeing Brad Keselowski get knocked out. Brad at one point was the hottest Ford, right? I mean, it was the RFK Fords. Brad was the hottest one.
He has another guy got way behind the 8 ball going into Bristol. Yep. I mean, it was going to be an uphill struggle for him because of the races right before that.
Now, how about the guys, though, that we see right now going into the next round? You and I were talking off air. We're pretty high on Austin Cindric to make it through the next round.
Absolutely. Even I think the 4 guys right now that are on the outside are probably the ones that are going to have the biggest challenge. But I agree, Cindric is running very well. Alex Bowman is starting to run a little bit better. So I think we may see some surprises. Briscoe is another one who's running really well. Really, the only one that really struggled that made it through was Suarez, who was really kind of fortunate because if Truex and Gibbs don't have the speeding penalties.
You want to talk about perseverance with candle under your feet?
And he knew he had a bad car from the start.
But they did. That is the definition of you do not give up on a day. You keep fighting. You keep fighting. You keep fighting. They did exactly what they needed to do to advance, and he gets to go to the next round. He's got a road course. Daniel Suarez has won a road course. He's got Talladega, which, as you know, the crapshoot that Suarez isn't half bad on the super speedways. So Daniel has new vigor in life today.
No, there's no question about that. So one guy who did not have an issue was Kyle Larson, who led 472 of 500 laps.
Can you believe that's the most laps ever by a Hendrick driver?
That is pretty amazing. When you think about some of those times, I remember it seemed like didn't Cale drive for Rick? Cale Yarborough, and he drove for Junior. So, but Darrell Waltrip drove for Rick. I mean, do you think some of those guys? Because look at Bristol, Martinsville, Wilkesboro, some of those places. There was guys that would lead almost every lap of the race and win those things. I think I saw Cale lead every lap at Martinsville one time.
Cale led 495 at Bristol. That was the only person he's behind.
He was driving for Junior. Yeah,
but still, most laps ever by a Hendrick driver. When you talk Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, some of the dominant performances of the litany of HOF drivers that driven for Rick. That's just once again another put that notch in the cap for Hendrick. Another one that Kyle Larson has.
But the crazy thing was this race was so different than the spring race with the tire issue, and it really left a lot of people scratching their heads. I heard Elton Sawyer talk about it on the radio earlier this week.
The teams are that good, Jeff. The teams are that good. They go back to their offices. They go back and figure stuff out. They don't, they're just that good at what they do, and they find setups that make stuff comply and live better. They did, and they came up with it. And Kyle Larson and the Hendrick bunch, remember, all 4 drivers in Hendrick in the top 10. All 4? Kyle Chase,
Byron.
Alex. No Byron.
No Byron. Byron didn't make it. No. Okay, so let's look at what Kyle Larson won for everybody.
Qualified all in the top 10. That was it.
Now, Kyle Larson won a lot for himself, but also for the bettors out there. He was plus 600 to win, plus 150 for a top 3. He won Group A at plus 290. Some of us sitting up here, I believe. In fact, did all of us pick that?
I think so.
All 3 of us, I think picked that. He also went head-to-head against Denny Hamlin, and that was a plus 140, which, I mean, Denny Hamlin had a strong run. I mean, Denny was a guy everybody thought there was a good chance he could miss the playoffs, had a great run, got himself in, and then he brought Chevy home, which somebody at this desk picked Chevy, so congratulations to you on that pick, too, at a plus 200. He also, we talked about, before these playoffs started, about Kyle Larson being plus 600 and how you better jump on it. He's plus 350 now. You have missed.
You missed it. Well,
in fact, you could still bet Kyle Larson now, and I think plus 350 is probably still a good
number.
Absolutely. So that's his championship odds now. But you talked about the top 10. Chase Elliott, he came in second. He was a plus 550. A great run for Bubba Wallace. 15-1 for a top 3. Looking through the rest of the top 10, another terrific run for Ryan Preece. We have seen several of these runs lately out of Ryan Preece. SHR, completely right.
And
Chase Briscoe was right behind him. We see they're at the bottom, Chase Briscoe and Alex Bowman, a couple of guys who, and look, you and I sat up here on this desk last week and thought Chase Briscoe was going to be one of the 4 guys that didn't make it in, and he proved us wrong. He ran top 10 all day. In fact, he ran top 5 a lot of the day. Great run for him.
He had 2 bad pit stops that crushed him. Both times they came in near the end, both pit stops went bad. That absolutely killed him. But let's go on the SHR just to add to it. Noah Gragson, 12th. So all 3 of their teams, all right there. That's good to see. I mean, we know the organization is closing. They're closing out, trying to go out on a high note.
Well, let's take a look at our current standings right now for where we are.
Reset.
We got to reset. Now, the 4 guys that are on the outside right now are Austin Cindric is 4 points behind Joey Logano, who sits at the bottom of the cutoff line. Daniel Suarez is 6 points out, and Alex Bowman and Chase Briscoe are 7 points out. That is actually pretty easy to make up. But look at the other end of it, Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson right now is sitting 39 points to the good. I mean, so if something bad happens in one of these 3 races, Kyle Larson
Still
isn't going to fret it. Kind of like what happened to him in Atlanta. He had his buffer.
The first round, that buffer is big. Imagine if he won the regular season, he'd have another 15 points on top of that. I'm going to be bold and say I don't think that the 4 guys that are below the cut line, I think at least 2 of them make the next round. I think that maybe even 3.
I would not be surprised. I think Joey Logano, he's a guy that's certainly vulnerable, but we also know how good Joey is on those big super speedways. So you expect him to run well at Talladega,
lately, and
Kansas has been a track that he's run well at. So now I agree with you. I think it's going to be very interesting to see who advances to the next round, and I do believe there's a good chance that there's going to be a surprise or 2, if you will. And speaking of the next round, we talked about incredible diversity in the first segment of the playoffs.
Yep.
We've got that again in the second.
Rinse and repeat.
Exactly. So we're going to start on a 1.5 miles. Now, a little bit different 1.5 miles than Atlanta by going to Kansas to open this thing. But then we've got the big super speedway, which, Atlanta's kind of become more like that at Talladega. And then a short road course at the Roval in Charlotte. So this is a great mixture of tracks where different guys have different strengths that are left in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's we've said it all season long. Ben Kennedy, whoever the group is at NASCAR that does the scheduling this year, extremely difficult with the Olympic year, hard to do, but phenomenal rounds of scheduling. Love it. And then, of course, we get to the next round, Jeff, which is when you and I will get extremely busy
We already are.
We already
are.
But it becomes even more so when you get to the South Point for 100 kicking off the next round.
Yeah, it is great. You take a little peek ahead here. We got Las Vegas Motor Speedway with South Point 400 is going to start round of 8, and then we're going to go to Homestead Miami Speedway. So not quite the
but Homestead has always been that. It's that diabolically different 1.5 miles, maybe 1.5 miles. There's no other 1.5 miles in the world like it.
Right, but I think it's great that each track, everybody's had something different now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have super speedways, road courses, short tracks, long courses. So I think that makes this a very, very exciting way
It is.
to go into the playoffs. Okay, when we come back on Gaughan Racing, it's going to be time to start talking about how everyone has fared in the past at Kansas, and we'll get into our odds to win and our top 3s.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grandview Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grandview Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grandview Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back into Gaughan Racing. Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan.
She said 2 in a 2,
Well-
and we're 1 in a 1.
Well, 2 in a 2 box. See, so those of you
2 in a
watching
2.
on
I thought it was 2.
YouTube, there's 2 of
Oh.
us, and there's 2 boxes up on the screen.
No, I thought it
That's
was
the 2 in the 2
2
box.
in the 1.
But I
Yeah.
thought the great thing was we get 10 seconds, 4, 3, 2. Well, what
10
happened to
seconds.
those other 5
3,
seconds?
2, 1.
10 seconds, 4, 3. Okay, I missed something here. Okay, but hey, you know what? It's
Nobody
nice.
has more fun, professionally and
That's
professional.
right. We're live on YouTube. The folks at SiriusXM, they hear us taped. They could probably edit out some of our mumbo jumbo. Maybe, I don't know.
No. Maz and the crew wishes they edited out.
Well, that's probably too. Maz might be regretting ever putting us on. I don't know, but hey, who knows?
Love you.
Yeah, but we have some listeners out there. I mean, people hit us up and say, "Hey,
Pete listens. I know Pete listens.
Pete listens."
Yeah, I was on FRP last week, and Pete and I were talking about the show.
Oh, good. So Pete gets excited every time you use the word penultimate. Then.
We're not in the penultimate right now. This is not penultimate round. It's not the penultimate race.
There's no penultimate going on right
today.
now. But that's our ode to Pete Pistone.
That's right.
that we mentioned penultimate. All right. We're talking things this week. Kansas Speedway, out to the land of Oz, where Kyle Larson won earlier this spring, but Tyler Reddick won this race last year. So that's two of our playoff drivers certainly going in with a lot of confidence. But Brendan, when you look down the results here, Denny Hamlin, he leads all active drivers with 4 wins here. 14 top 5s and 32 starts and 15 top 10s. That's remarkable, but there's a number of guys who had solid runs here. Joey Logano's got 3 wins here. Larson, Keselowski, Truex, Busch all won twice, although Truex and Busch, I think, and even Keselowski, I think out of the playoffs,
well,
not really
look,
looking at them as much.
Chase Elliott, 7 top 5s and 17 starts. Pretty impressive. Even Chris...
And 11 top 10s.
And 11 top... Seabell, 6 top 10s and 9 starts. There's some guys, no wins. But I look at that Brad Keselowski number, and this is what I look at. A track that he's phenomenal at, wasn't good earlier this year, but Chris Buescher finished second earlier this year. So, hold on. They were the Fords to beat earlier in the year. Brad came home 11th of that race. Chris was second. Brad could be a spoiler this day because, look, Brad Keselowski, you and I both know him. He would love to prove a point. Even though he got knocked out, he's not going to go away with a whimper.
Yeah, and we've seen over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of drivers that are either non-playoff drivers or drivers that have been knocked out of the playoffs win playoff races. So I don't think anybody would be surprised if we saw Brad Keselowski come through and get a win, especially the way they've run. All right, let's take a look at our odds for the race, and I don't think it's a big surprise to anybody. The guys at the top, Kyle Larson is a plus 400 to win, Denny Hamlin's plus 500, and Tyler Reddick's plus 700. So there we got our last 2 winners and our winningest driver all right there at the very top. Then we get into our double-digit numbers where William Byron is 10 to 1, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, and Martin Truex Jr. all at 12 to 1, Ty Gibbs at 16 to 1, and Brad Keselowski at 18 to 1.
Listen, you got 3 guys single digit right here. I mean, that's pretty impressive. That's how good they think those 3 drivers are. But let's look at that Christopher Bell bet. I mean, Christopher Bell, I just said, 9 races.
He hasn't won here, but
hasn't won.
6 top 10s.
But this when you talk about this place and you talk about the guys that we think run high, it's the 3 dirt guys, Tyler, Bell, and Larson. And Bell has had great runs. He's gotten to a couple beefs late in races that have cost him some, a chance to win. But Bell, 6th here in the spring, one of our hottest drivers. I think Seabell at that double-digit number right there, that has me kind of going, he's not been bad. To be 12 to 1, I think that's a very, very high number for him, and I like it a lot.
I think that's a good number. And you talked about Brad Keselowski being a guy out to prove a point, and he's 18 to 1. Another guy, and you and I talk about him a lot. He's sitting there at 16 to 1. He's never won a race in his career. There's no pressure on him now. Ty Gibbs has proven himself to be a good 1.5 mile racer. I think if you're talking about somebody who's got something to prove, and a guy who I don't think wants to go through 2 full seasons in this series without seeing victory lane, I think Ty Gibbs is a guy who 16 to 1 I think is a really good number on him, because I would not be shocked to see him go win this race.
We've been high all season on Ty, saying we thought he was going to get a win this year. Yeah, he got knocked out of the playoffs. Yeah, he kind of shot himself in the foot a little bit. But I think that Ty is young enough, aggressive enough. The old young and dumb thing, but I wouldn't call him dumb. He's young enough and aggressive enough to say, I want to prove a point and go out there and work really hard. And this is a track that, of course, Joe Gibbs Racing, really darn good at places like this.
And you know what's amazing when I look out there? I mean, he's the 5th highest Toyota on the board, but we know what the Toyotas have been able to do on some of these tracks, which is pretty evident by the success that Denny Hamlin and Tyler Reddick have had on this racetrack. So I just think it's a good number. I'm not sure necessarily.
He's 5th in Vegas this year.
But right, I think he's very comfortable on these 1.5 mile tracks. All right, let's move on to our longer odds to win the race here. Chris Buescher, who you've talked about and finishing second there in the previous race, he is 20-1. Bubba Wallace and Joey Logano at 25-1. Kyle Busch is 30. Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman, and Chase Briscoe at 40. Justin Haley and Austin Cindric at 100-1, and the field at 20-1. And one thing we have to point out, this will be Justin Haley's first race with Spire Motorsports, because something that rarely ever happens in NASCAR, we did have a driver trade this week where Corey LaJoie, who was already on the way out at Spire, gets traded to Rick Ware Racing, and Justin Haley comes over to Spire. In my opinion, this is a big win for Justin Haley. Big win for Justin Haley. Will he keep up some of those good runs that he's been having over at Rick Ware? So that's the question. But to me, the one I like the most here, and you may laugh at me, but Alex Bowman at 40-1. He was 7th at Kansas earlier this season. He was 9th at Charlotte earlier this season at the Coke 600. Vegas, we know what he's done at Vegas. If you're looking for the longest number with a real legit shot, I love Alex Bowman. Well, you were talking earlier about Reddick, Bell, Larson, the guys who like to run high. There's a guy sitting here at 40-1 who has run really, really well the last few weeks, who kind of surprised us by making it to the next round, and Chase Briscoe, who I think Chase Briscoe is racing with as much confidence as he has ever raced in his career. I think there is a great effort being put into Stewart-Haas to finish strong, considering they're really kind of going away. I know Custer's going to have a ride there next year. Chase Briscoe at 40-1. I also think when you're talking 40-1 odds, I really kind of like Chase Briscoe 40-1 as well. I look at his history, and it's average finish 21 in 7 races. So there's where you say, okay, you got to go, what have you done for me lately and how he's run. And that's not a bad one, especially with he's in the playoffs, a little more respect for those guys. But man, that Alex Bowman at 40 still just has me going. I mean, we're not even talking about Kyle Busch at 30, which or Joey Logano at 25-1, and the wins that Joey's got here. And look, I think Bubba Wallace has shown he is a solid mile-and-a-half racer as well. So I think there is a chance here. Bubba's 4 top 10s last 10 mile-and-a-halfs. I will not be surprised to see the winner come out of page 2 on our screen this week. I don't know if I'm going all the way to pick it, but I would not be shocked to see that. I would not either. All right, let's move along to our top 3s, and sigh. Everybody, we hate this. We have a minus number in the top 3s. We don't hate it. We don't like it. It just look. Would you bet against Kyle Larson in the top 3? But I wouldn't bet on him at minus 105. So that's what we're talking about, folks. This is where Jeff is the is the guy like the race fan, not the bettor. Yeah, because there's a reason why you're minus 105. When I bet a football game, one team is minus 110. I take that team a lot of the times. A minus 105 in our sport, it is different. You don't bet minus numbers in our sport often because there is so many positive numbers to choose from. That's what differentiates NASCAR betting from traditional sports betting. But minus 105, I would put him at minus 150. All right, well, as you guys have all figured out by now, we have Kyle Larson is minus 105. The Denny Hamlin's plus 140. Tyler Reddick plus 220. Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott at plus 300. Byron and Busch plus 350. Blaney and Truex plus 400. Buescher 450. Bubba Wallace, Brad Keselowski at plus 600. Joey Logano plus 650. Ty Gibbs and Ross Chastain at plus 700. And Chase Briscoe 10-1. Yeah, I lean off once again. I started the deal with Christopher Bell, and there he is at plus 300. I like that. Then this is kind of fun. We went from the South Point odds, which has Kyle Busch down at 30-1 to win, and then you come to DraftKings for top 3, and they got Kyle Busch at plus 350 on the front page, one of the favorites. It just goes to show you what we talk about shopping books, right? I love that plus 300 on Bell. The 300 on Elliott, the 350 on Byron. I think those are phenomenal. And then you got Buescher at 450, who was second in the spring, and Keselowski with a point to prove at 600. I like a lot of these. Well, and I'm not trying to beat the dead horse, but now I can get Chase Briscoe at double digits for a top 3. I mean, I think that's pretty good. And you never even named the guy that I talked about on the last page that I thought was a threat to win at 40-1. Well, because we haven't gotten to him.
There you go.
So we're going to get to him here on page 2. Alex Bowman, a double-digit guy, 11-1. I knew when I saw Alex Bowman on page 2, I said, well, I know who Brendan's going to talk about. Daniel Suarez is 15-1. Noah Gregson, 16-1. Austin Cindric at 22. Josh Berry, Ricky Stenhouse, Michael McDowell, Justin Haley, Eric Jones all at 28. Austin Dillon, Carson Hocevar at 30. Todd Gilliland, Ryan Preece at 40. Corey LaJoy and John Hunter Nemechek at 70. And Jimmy Johnson making a rare start at 100-1.
And what's amusing to me is that Jimmy Johnson at 100-1.
You wouldn't touch it.
I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, I hate that because we love Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy is one of our favorites. I mean, I know there was a point in time when he won every week.
He went and won a race with Dario over at the Goodwood Festival. They, him and Dario won a vintage race together. I mean, Jimmy can flat out drive. It just you put him in here at 100-1. It's not enough enticement. But I Alex Bowman 11-1. I really, really like that. Austin Cindric, 22-1. I mean, he's a playoff guy, pretty far down there for a playoff guy. But I love that Bowman 11-1.
A couple of other guys that kind of say, I wouldn't be shocked to see him have solid runs here. Josh Berry's 28-1, and the guy that we've talked about a bunch this year, Carson Hocevar. You just never know.
This dude shows up. This dude shows up, and when he shows up to play, doesn't he?
He does. And look, he ran well at Bristol. I think he finished just out of the top 10. But I mean, the guy seems like every week
qualified top 5. I mean, the kid is proven. If you're a hater of Carson Hocevar, you better start hating for a long time. This boy is proven he's going to be around.
I agree. I think he's going to be around for a while, and that's a guy that would not shock me to see him be able to hop in there and get a top 3. Okay, we come back on Gaughan Racing. We'll get into our head-to-head matchups, and then we'll start breaking down our groups.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style Paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, 777s, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Welcome back on Gaughan Racing. Another episode of Funny Times with Jeff and Brendan or whatever. So yeah, a lot of humor in the studio today.
Humorous.
Humorous. That's a bone in the body.
I guess that didn't work on serious. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's not the funny bone though, is it?
No,
right?
not the funny bone.
The funny bone
it's near
is
there.
not the
It's connected to it.
And there's no humor in the funny bone.
No,
it
there
hurts.
is not.
I don't know why people call it the funny bone.
Because it's not funny when you hit it.
Exactly. Okay. Brendan,
come on, Frank, bring us on.
Yeah, Brendan, we're talking driver head-to-heads here.
Yes.
There are some astronomical
Yes.
numbers, but you got to bet against Kyle Larson or Denny Hamlin or Tyler Reddick to get them, including a William Byron plus 160 against Kyle Larson at minus 180.
That one's tough. To me, the William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Let me give you a little reference here for William Byron and Denny Hamlin. Last 10 mile-and-a-half races, William Byron, 7 top 10s, 4 top 5s, 1 win. He has been the best on mile-and-a-halves. I don't dislike going against. Look, Denny, would we say that Denny had a good run at Bristol, which is their house, right? They talked about Bristol is their house. Chris Gabehart, they're all on that. And did they run like it was their house? They ran good. They were top 5. Way to go. He was abysmal in that first round. He came in with the wrong attitude going into the first race. It hurt him. It bit him in the second race. And he had to have a good run at Bristol just to only be, 7 points to the good at the end of the day? Something like that. I like the William Byron plus 140. I think Byron and those Hendrick guys, I think that, they're the sharks in the water. They smell the blood. And I think that Byron plus 140 is a good one against Denny Hamlin.
Well, and to put into perspective if you want to bet the don't line on Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin is plus 125 to Larson's minus 145. Tyler Reddick is a plus 140 to Larson's minus 160. And we mentioned William Byron plus 160 to Larson's minus 180. Those are huge numbers. But there's other big numbers out there. Byron's near the plus. You mentioned the plus 140 to Denny Hamlin. He's also plus 135 to Tyler Reddick. So I think there's some great numbers there. And honestly,
two of my favorites.
Another one I like out there.
But Bubba Wallace plus 125. I've been bragging about Brad Keselowski wanting to prove a point, but Bubba Wallace plus 125 to Brad's minus 145, or Chris Buescher's plus 105 to Brad minus 125.
And Ty Gibbs is plus 105 against Chase Elliott, and I think Ty Gibbs is going to have a strong
great head-to-heads today.
It's a great week for head-to-heads. I do love the Bubba Brad Keselowski.
I like the Bubba. I like the William Byron Denny. Those are my two favorite.
I think those are good. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to tell everybody my picks before everybody else this week after.
Which tells me where not to go, folks at home.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, look, if you want to follow me, Brent, but look, I'm still plus to the good. I mean, I had 1 win last week.
Hey, he's plus to the good.
Yeah, but I'm above the Mendoza line. Not your Mendoza line, but mine.
I'm back above my. Well, I've reset the Mendoza line a couple times. I'm going for 100. I'm going for 100.
You got a ways to go. We only got
a ways.
We only got 7 races to go.
A ways.
So, wow, I didn't know that you could get your voice up to that octave. Wow.
Oh, we're going to get to that part.
Put you a different seat in the choir.
Hey, let's talk about our first head-to-head, our first group matchup, so we can go, oh, my God.
Yes, because once again, this first group is, if you want value, we got value for you. Kyle Larson's plus 165. Not much value. Denny Hamlin plus 265.
Pretty good value.
Tyler Reddick plus 295.
Really good value.
And Brendan, you love your boy William Byron plus 445. Have we ever seen William Byron plus 445?
First of all, I've never seen. You have a Hendrick car plus 445. 1, 2. I know it's Group A. I see who it's against, but this is a 4-man horse race, and you're giving me plus 445 on a Hendrick car. The kid's won in Vegas. The kid has won on mile and a half. I just gave you the stats for the mile and a half tracks. Wow. I don't know if we can leave that you just can't leave. That's a dangling participle. You can't leave that out there.
I agree. But, when we talk about Kyle Larson, we say not value at plus 165. Well, guess what? Other than to win the race, this is the best number you're going to get on Kyle Larson.
You got minus 105 for a top 3.
Minus 105 for a top 3. Yeah. So literally, this is probably the best opportunity to bet Kyle Larson if you want to know the honest truth about it. So at plus 165, it's not a horrible return.
But he's plus 400 to win, so I'd rather take to win because if he wins the group, he's going to win.
He's probably going to win the race. Oh, that's probably true. But I'm kind of with you. The 445
that's
Byron,
a huge number.
It's incredibly tempting. It's scary and tempting all at the same time. All right, taking a look at Group B, and guy you have been very, very high on. Christopher Bell is the favorite at plus 245. Then Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, and Martin Truex Jr. all come in at plus 275.
I'm going to make this a 2-man horse race for you. I am not going to be very heavy on Ryan Blaney. Mile and a halves. I know he's mile and a halves. He's got decent stats, but his only top 5 in the last 5 races was Atlanta, which to me doesn't really count as the mile and a half anymore. So the Penske car's not been good in these places, and I say that, and then all of a sudden he's going to, set the world on fire. I look at where we're at, Kansas. I look at Kansas. I got to go a long way to find him. He is all the way down in 9th best point getter, 2 top 10s only. So I'm making this a 2-man horse race. I'm going to take this down to Chris and Chase, and Chase Elliott. It's good, Christopher Bell I just talked about. I think this is Chris's race.
I like Christopher Bell here too. Plus 245. I agree with you. I mean, I think he has certainly proven himself on these type of racetracks, even if he hasn't had. Look, again, he doesn't have to win this race. He just has to beat Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, and Martin Truex Jr.
And we didn't mention Martin. Sorry, I didn't mention him, but I just don't think that there's anything there left.
Yeah, it seems like they're ready to head for the fishing hole. But I agree with you. Christopher Bell plus 245 right here. Yeah, he's my guy here in this group. All right, let's move along. Take a look at Group C. And we got some odd numbers in Group C, I might add. Ty Gibbs is the favorite, plus 200.
That's a typo. It's 290.
Brad Keselowski's plus 290.
Yeah.
If you look at our screen, I think it says plus 298, but plus 290. Chris Buescher at plus 295. So we got both those RFK cars there together. And Bubba Wallace, plus 340. And there's a guy who's, I'm telling you.
Enticement, right? We talk about enticement. Would I say that Bubba Wallace has been better than Ty Gibbs this year? No. But Ty Gibbs, I was very high on him, talked about him even winning a race. But you're giving me plus 340 in the 4-man horse race. Bubba has been pretty darn good. Bubba has run well. Bubba has outperformed. Bubba, just signed that contract. 340 is enticement. I don't know if I'm ready to go for it. I like the two dogs, though. I like 295 on Chris or 340 on Bubba, even though I think Ty is probably going to win the group, but I like the bottom two numbers.
Well, I agree with you. I love the value that you can get on Bubba here. I probably would have thought Gibbs would have probably come in about 240.
Yeah.
250.
200. It's probably been bet down, if you want the truth, which is why it's that far.
I think so, because if you really think about it, I mean, I know it's a little bit higher, but it's getting close to that 100s where Kyle Larson is sitting, and I don't see Ty Gibbs having the same level of dominance over Keselowski, Buescher, and Bubba Wallace. So I'm with you. I think the value on Bubba is really good, but I also think this is a group that, man, I think I'm just going to stay away from this group.
Chris Buescher, though, man, what does he do?
He cashes
tickets, baby. I mean, that's...
you're right, and he does cash tickets, and like I said, he's coming off a second place run here at Kansas, so he's certainly going to be. And look, we've said these guys that didn't make the playoffs. Number one, yes, they show respect to the playoff guys, but number two, if they've got a car capable of winning, they want to go out and win.
They want to go out and win.
They're not going to sit there and just move over for a guy because he's in the playoffs, and nor should they. All right, let's take a look at our Group D, and this is another interesting group here. Joey Logano and Kyle Busch are the co-favorites at plus 240, and then Ross Chastain and Alex Bowman at plus 290. And Brendan, you've been pretty high on Alex Bowman on this entire show.
I have been, and I got to tell you, I think that number is worth. I mean, you got to give me the dog at 290. Joey Logano, the Penske cars, not been strong at mile and a half this year. We've talked about it. Kyle Busch. First of all, we have Kyle Busch. If this was any other season, I'd say Kyle Busch in Group D. Oh, my God, I'm going Kyle Busch. Ross Chastain, kind of the one. He was 8th at the Coke 600, 4th at Vegas this year. 5th last year at Vegas in the playoff race, 2nd at Texas last year in the playoff race. When Ross Chastain shows up, Ross Chastain at 290 is a lock. But I just feel that Alex Bowman is not limping through these playoffs. I feel that Alex Bowman has a little more momentum, even though nobody's talking about him in that way. And I like the dog here at 290.
Well, I've kind of looked at this one and kind of making it a two-person race because I don't have that faith that Chastain is going to really run well here. And Kyle... Gosh, I want Kyle to, look, he wants to win worse than anybody, but I want Kyle to get a win before the season's over. I know he's only got 7 opportunities. I don't see it. I hope he does. I mean, I think we both do. I mean, we're big Kyle fans. We root for Kyle. He's been great to us.
We are technically media, right?
But we're
biased.
But we've known him since he was a teenager.
That's what I'm saying. We're biased.
Since he was a kid. So we're going to be biased, and we want Kyle to do well. But unfortunately, I just see this as a Joey Logano, Alex Bowman battle. And Alex is the plus 290 one, which would make me kind of lean Alex Bowman just because there's more value on him. But I'll tell you one thing, and I think I told you this when Joey won that first playoff race. Joey Logano, when the playoffs get here,
Joey knows how to perform in the playoffs. Other than last year, where he had he got
knocked out in the first round because he got in a crash at Bristol.
But Joey definitely knows when to show up, and so this is kind of Joey time.
Yeah, it's like, the whole thing that they say, don't wake up a sleeping giant
that's
or whatever.
Joey.
And I think Joey might have been woken up. I think that win at Atlanta certainly did. All right, let's take a look at Group E, where Justin Haley and here's new ride over at Spire Motorsports is the favorite at plus 225. Austin Cindric, Noah Gragson, Daniel Suarez, all at plus 285.
Look, I look at this and I see 2 playoff guys and 2 guys that nowhere near it. Daniel, tough to bet on him right now, even though, we talked about how he made it through the round and, but I look at this and go, Austin Cindric has just seemed in the last round, he's found a center that he just runs. He just sits there and finds a way to finish 15, 10, 8, and that's going to be big for him.
Well, I'm going to apologize to you that I'm agreeing with you again.
Damn it.
I'm with you. I like Cindric so much right here. Noah, I'm glad to see he's had some strong runs. I think there's going to be an adjustment period for Justin Haley getting with the new team. So him being the favorite up there, and Daniel, maybe Bristol scared me away on Daniel. I don't know, but I'm with you. I kind of like Cindric there.
And I'm looking at stats on Cindric, and they're not good, but there's just something about what he's done.
Yeah, and I think that's the way I see it. I mean, he's a playoff guy. So, okay, we'll be back our final segment of Gaughan Racing. We have our last group, get your manufacturer props. I'll tell you how we did last week.
Yep.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake.
Welcome back to Gaughan Racing. Final segment talking all things Kansas Speedway this week. Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan. What's the name? Is it a casino?
Hollywood
Casino 400 at Kansas.
I remember the day that we weren't even allowed to have the word casino on the car.
Right. You used to. What did you have like the?
They tried to yell at us
but
for
one
the
year
casino
you
queen.
used a casino queen, and they had to let you run that.
Well,
right?
no. What happened was we got yelled at because we did not get the paint scheme approved, and we said it's the same paint scheme. They said, yeah, but it says the word casino. And my dad said, I sued the state of Illinois. It's a proper noun, casino queen. It's not the casino queen hotel casino. It's the casino queen. And with that, there's Mike Helton, who I love to death, and there's a certain guy that I don't care if
we don't need to mention any names here.
But he basically,
unless we like him.
He tried to come back at it, and Mike Helton looked and said, shook our hand and said, good to see you, Mr. Gaughan. Congratulations on the win.
As well it should have been. So, because I do remember those times running
proper noun.
the Orleans Hotel,
Las Vegas. It was the Orleans Las Vegas.
Yeah. So, Times have
We've
changed.
been around each other a long
Times
time.
have changed. We have a Super
Yes.
Bowl in Las Vegas now. So.
And we have a betting show when I was still racing in the sport.
Right. And we have an NFL team. I mean, the fact that we can have pro sports in Las Vegas, we can gamble on everything and openly talk about it. And I think they've even talked about some odds on the races now, which is kind of cool. I've seen a little bit of that, so that's nice. Anyway, let's finish up our groups we were talking about, and we're on our final group, and that is Group F, where we have Josh Berry, Eric Jones, and Carson Hocevar, all three at plus 250, and Michael McDowell at plus 335.
Yeah, Michael McDowell 335 is definitely enticement, right? I mean, McDowell is probably the driver that we all recognize the most in this whole group. Got 10th here in the spring. The only problem, enticement is what I like. Okay, so let's just start with the reason why I'm talking. But Carson Hocevar is he's that like X factor that, man, when the kid, this is a deal. We're doing this once again, Jeff, on Thursday. Watch qualifying, watch practice, see where they end up. Hocevar ends up like he did at Bristol. Put the money on him. Josh Berry, also an X factor. Not one of his places that he has notoriously been known for, but. With Rodney Childers there, I always never put anything past them. But I do like that Michael McDowell number. But Hocevar to me makes me nervous.
Well, I kind of broken this down to a two-man race again, and I've kind of checked out on Michael McDowell. I hate to say that because I don't
disagree.
I think
He's kind of disappeared a lot.
The team's kind of playing out the string. It looks like, and Eric Jones, they just haven't been consistent.
Anything?
To me, Josh Berry's a guy who can surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
Hocevar is no longer a surprise when he runs well. I think to me, when Hocevar runs well, I'm expecting him to be a top 15.
You expect it a little more often now.
I really do.
Yeah.
I'm just not surprised by it because he's been so consistent doing that. So I kind of bring this one down to Hocevar and Josh Berry. And I just think, some people fade as the season goes on. It seems like with every lap, Carson Hocevar
the more he learns,
better.
The more he learns, the better he's been getting.
So I love Carson Hocevar.
I don't disagree.
Right I
don't disagree.
I'm very high on Hocevar right now. So
I cannot go against you on that one.
I do like that one. All right, let's take a look at our manufacturer props, and it's a dead heat at the top between Toyota and Chevrolet at plus 130. But if you want to make some money, well, you could lose some money if they don't win. But Ford is a plus 320. That's a lot of heat on Chris Buescher, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe.
And we spent most of the show saying that they weren't very good at this place, except, earlier this year, Chris finished second. So the 330 probably deserved. That split 130-130, also very well deserved. This is a tough one for me. At least last week, Chevrolet was getting 200. So I was like, okay, 3-man horse race, but now you're getting 130, 130, 320. I don't like Ford enough to bet the 320, and I can't say that I dislike Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick versus Byron, Larson. It's too equally matched up there, so I don't like it this week.
Which is why it's plus 130 and plus 130. Yep. You're right, because it is so evenly matched, and I'm kind of with you there. I think if you want to take a flyer, take the Ford bet, because I think it's really hard to go and pick between Chevy and Toyota, but at the end of the day, I think a Chevy or a Toyota.
I don't see a Ford winning this.
So, this week, basically, we're throwing up the X on the manufacturer.
X for me is
there.
this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. Don't quite see that one. All right, now that we've only got 12 drivers left.
Hey, way to go to the South Point!
And guess what? We have odds on all 12 drivers. We no longer.
No Harrison Burton
we
field.
Have Harrison Burton in the field. So we'll run down the odds for the championship right now. Kyle Larson at plus 350 is a pretty big favorite, but Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, who barely made it into the next round at plus 400. Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, both plus 700. William Byron and Chase Elliott are plus 800. Then 12-1 for Joey Logano, and then the numbers get big. Alex Bowman is 30-1. Austin Cindric and Chase Briscoe at 50-1, and Daniel Suarez at 60-1.
Listen, here's the value of this is where, once again, we talk about hedging a bet. I know NASCAR bettors don't understand that all the time. This is where you can take your future bet and hedge it against some numbers. Did Chase Briscoe win at Phoenix a couple years ago?
Yes, he did.
And has he always been good at places like Phoenix?
Yes, he has.
Okay. He's 50-1 right now. This round has two races that favor Chase Briscoe a little bit. Roval and Talladega.
Talladega favors anybody. I mean, it could be anybody.
And so if he makes it through, he's even a bigger threat. And Austin Cindric, Talladega and Roval. These are two guys that both can get their way through, and they're no longer going. If they make it to the next round, they're no longer 50-1. They're now 20-1, and going to be getting smaller as it goes. This is a huge value. I would jump on. I'd put a couple units right now on Bowman, Cindric, Briscoe, 30, 50, 50, and know that I have a huge return that is going to keep diminishing as the rounds go. And I think 3 of those guys make it to the next round.
Well, the one with the big number that I like the best as far as betting for the championship is probably Alex Bowman, and I'll tell you why. Because I believe that he's certainly, again, at Talladega, everybody's got a shot. I think Bowman will run well this week at Kansas. But I look at, when you talk about these guys, Bowman, Cindric, Briscoe, Suarez, I think, okay, Bowman gets through to the round of 8. Then I look at Las Vegas, Homestead, and Martinsville.
That's right up Hendrick.
And to
right
me,
up Hendrick's alley.
That falls into where, and keep in mind, you don't have to win. You just have to be in the top 4
just point your way in.
To get to Phoenix. Whereas Bowman, to me, exactly, those tracks, Vegas, Bowman's won in Vegas. We know Bowman can win at Homestead, and I think Bowman could be solid at Martinsville. I haven't seen that out of Cindric or
owns
Briscoe
Martinsville.
or Suarez. So
Hendrick owns it.
So I think when you're looking at those 4 guys, to me, if you want to take a flyer on somebody for the championship, it would be Alex Bowman if it were me.
Let's talk about last week again. How did we do last week?
We can talk about last. Now look. Now I lost 1/10 of a unit thanks to getting Group A with Kyle Larson. You did very well because you got the same pick I had with Larson, and you had Chevy. But hey, let's take our hat off to our pit crew who got 3 picks correct last week. They had Chase Elliott for a top 3.
Yep.
We did not give Kyle Larson the kiss of death.
I love it.
So I had, and then they were all in on Kyle Larson because they also had him in a head-to-head against Denny Hamlin. So
they skyrocketed back past you.
They did.
They've almost doubled you up.
They have they have. And I was almost double them up going into last week. In fact, I might have been because they gained 10.8 units.
They
were almost below the Mendoza line, and they came fighting back. So hopefully that will be.
And me, I'm below my Mendoza line still. I'm kind of bummed.
I hope that will be me fighting back.
Kind of bummed. 82 points.
Okay, so now we get into this week's picks.
Bet $1,000. If you bet $1,000 on each unit every week with me, you'd have 80,000 right now. Just in case anybody wondered how that maths.
You know what? I'm not wondering.
Okay, just checking.
Because I already know what it is because I hear about it every week. Oh, actually, I should say I hear about it every week. I get it in a text on Sunday, or in this case, Saturday night, and then I get to hear about it on Thursday.
We send it to Ann. then we even include Wyatt in some of our old texts.
I am waiting for the day, folks, that I drive into the South Point for this show,
and on the
marquee is how Brendan did the past week with his picks. And I shouldn't have given him an idea.
That'll look great on the South Point YouTube channel, won't it? I mean, I think it'll look great.
All right. I digress. All right. Let's get to my picks for the week.
That's because you're going first.
I'm going first. And I do always, I am each week, I'm going to try to do something to get me like a big point hit. I am going to take Bubba Wallace for a top 3, plus 600. I like Bubba there. And I'm going to stick with my Bubba theme, and I'm taking Bubba head-to-head against Brad Keselowski at plus 125. So I'm feeling really good about Bubba this week. But then in the groups, I'm going to go with Christopher Bell in Group B at plus 245. And then I'm going to go picking the low-hanging fruit. I'm going Group E and Group F. Group E, Austin Cindric. Group F, Carson Hocevar. I've been bullish on those guys all week, and I'm all in on them. And then our pit crew picks, they are going to take Tyler Reddick over Kyle Larson. Wow. They're trying to you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Let's see what happens. For it. They also agree with the Swami over here of Bubba Wallace over Brad Keselowski at plus 125. And then they're going Chase Elliott in Group B, head-to-head against me, I might add. And then they're even more in on Bubba Wallace with Group C. And then they're going Joey Logano in Group D.
I'm not happy.
I think we just gave Bubba the kiss of death. Well, we didn't last week. We gave Val Larson the bump from hell is what we gave him last week. So maybe it'll work.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe we reverse that jinx.
All right, I'm going to start with top 3s. Seabell, talked about him all race, plus 300 in that. For that is just too much to pass up for me. 300. I mean, come on, man. He's been killing it. Then I'm going 2 head-to-heads. I am going Byron over Denny, plus 140. And I'm also going Bubba over Kesey, 125. I hopefully the Gaughan Racin bump. We're calling it the Gaughan Racin bump.
Not a jinx, right?
Not the jinx, the bump works up. Then I got 2 groups. I got Byron Group A. I'm sorry. 445.
Can't let it go.
Look, I know it's against Kyle, Denny, Tyler, but William Byron is a championship contender. He has legitimately shown that.
And what have you got to lose, by the way?
445, man. I mean, that's a hell of a return. And then I'm going Alex Bowman, Group D, plus 290. I think that, to me, that's the low hanging fruit of the day. So we're differentiated quite a bit, all of us. Except for the Kesey.
And look, and I love the Bowman Group D. I mean, I had it circled. I marked it out because I like some others better. But I'm kind of with you. I really do. I do kind of like that pick. How often did you race at Kansas?
Oh, I was in the first race there ever.
First race ever.
Yeah.
How'd you do?
We
Was it a
finished
West
third.
race or a truck
It was a West
race?
race.
Okay.
We went out there for the West. I finished second or third. I can't remember now. And then we had a truck race. I was one of the first truck races out there. Used to love it out there. I mean,
What year was first year? 1999, 2000?
it was
99 or
nope. It was
2000?
Napa car. It was 2000 or 2001.
2001.
I think it was
Yeah.
2001.
The track has really not changed much other than around it. It's a beautiful place to go.
Oh no,
right there.
dude! When we went
At
out
the
there,
casino,
it was
out
if
in
you
the middle
build it, they
of a
were come. It
cornfield,
was
basically, right there.
nowhere. Now it's got all that stuff around. It's phenomenal now. So amazing place. Got a casino on the back straightaway. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah,
It's super
folks
cool.
at NASCAR done a great job out there. 2 visits we get every year to Kansas Speedway. So, and guess what? We're on a 3-week countdown for Las Vegas. So, all right,
Oy.
we'll be back next week. We will break down all things Kansas and talk about Talladega.